Okay,
Hello,
we're live.
hello, welcome to the Boss Free Society Google Hangout. Today we got a very special guest, Chad Carden. But before we introduce Chad, I want to say hi to Patty Dominguez. Patty is one of our founding members of Boss Free
Hi,
Society.
everybody.
And then, of course, I'm Tim Wambach. And just for those who are just maybe starting to come in and maybe haven't heard about us before, our mission is to help people live extraordinary lives, and then attracting the right prosperity partners to make it happen. We live in the solution, pay it forward, and choose to live a life by design. And today, like I mentioned before, we have a very special guest. His name is Chad Carden. I've known Chad for, I think 15 years now, something like that. Chad has been consulting, coaching, and speaking with companies across the world for 15 plus years. He focuses on sales, sales management, executive coaching, and keynote speaking. He has shared the stage with CEOs of Fortune 100 companies, billionaires, and politicians. Chad is also part of the Fortune magazine's Business Leader Council. He is, just has an extensive background, and I'm proud and privileged to call Chad my friend and colleague, and I look to Chad a lot of times for advice. So Chad, thank you for joining us, and welcome to the call.
Hey, thanks for having me, Tim. Patty, it's a pleasure. It's an honor to be part of this. I appreciate the opportunity and looking forward to add any value that I can to continue with your mission and your vision, what you guys are trying to accomplish.
So, obviously we're here, we're boss free is kind of what we're talking about, and we just kind of wanted to hear a little bit about your story about how you came boss free and why you chose this route.
I grew up in a family where my dad had his own business, my mom had her own business, and early on I grew up in it. 14 years old, I made a decision that this is the direction I wanted to go. I had a chance to meet a gentleman by the name of Zig Ziglar, and he became a mentor of mine, a coach of mine, and it just has went from there. So I have really never had a full-time career. I've never had a job. I've always worked for myself. I have worked with other people, under other people in different projects, but I've always had a boss-free life, and it's been a great journey. There's always ups and downs, and I've learned a lot along the way. And so I've never, and not a good or a bad thing, I've never really experienced the other side of it, where you got to punch a clock 9 to 5 or whatever the parameters or definitions are. I've always lived this life, and it's worked out pretty well so far. So we just continue to do it.
So how did you start? Like, you said you were 14, you met Zig Ziglar, and kind of it was exposed to that lifestyle. But as far as starting to work for yourself, what were some of the decisions you made, and what was the path?
Yeah, so I went to college and got a broad marketing management degree. And then I went to work as an independent contractor for the Dale Carnegie organization, where I had the freedom to do other stuff, but I also worked under the Carnegie platform in the leadership development space, sales training, keynote speaking space. My dad had gotten out of the business that he was in, and him and my mother moved to Las Vegas and sort of retired, and they enjoy playing golf out there and just enjoy the sunshine. So I did that, and then for about 3 or 4 years, and then my goal was I wanted to actually get in the Carnegie world and buy a franchise. I wanted to be a franchise owner, because Carnegie's franchised all over the globe. But at 25 years old, about 12 franchise owners all broke away from the Carnegie name, and nothing wrong. I've learned a lot from the platform. It's just we decided to go in another direction with customizing, complete customization for our clients. And so at 25, I really hung my own shingle, started my own business, and I had the opportunity at that time, like a lot of people listening or watching this at this time, where they had a lot of leverage and a lot of resources they could lean on. So I had 12 to 14 people that I could lean on and really help me create a path that would allow me the lifestyle that I wanted, which was, obviously there's a financial piece to it, there's a time piece to it, and as I build my family and as I build my business and as I build my lifestyle, I've built it all around this thought process that I have a lot of dreams, goals, and aspirations. So I wanted to create a lifestyle that could manage that versus shrinking my dreams, goals, and aspirations to be living in a lifestyle that I may or may not wanted. So I may not want. So after the Carnegie thing, we broke away. We started our own thing, and from that day till this day, gosh, we have probably 25, 30 people out there running around working different projects. We work with a lot of large organizations. And, I get to wake up tomorrow and have a team of 14 people out there working on the AT&T project, and I'm at home, hanging out with my family, with my wife and 2 kids. So it's a great world.
That's stellar. I have a question for you. It
Yeah.
sounds like you mentioned Zig Ziglar and how he clearly impacted you tremendously, and then you talked about surrounding yourself with the right kind of people and influences. Is this where the magic combination is having both, Chad, or do you think one is more important than the other?
Well, I think, the first book that my dad put in my hands when I was 14 was Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People, and it was just a book that I pick up every 6 months. I still continue to read, and I think you do have to surround yourself with a great foundation, a great support group, and you can learn from this group, you can give back to this group, you can receive from this group. I think it's a group that you have to continuously surround yourself with, but you always have to ask the question of, who are you learning from, who are you leaning on, who are you continuously growing with. And we all have, and a lot of times when people hear this, they think I'm trying to tell them to cut out their friends, or I'm not saying do any of that. I'm just saying that find people that have a common interest and a common mindset that you have, and don't let anybody else steal that mindset. I believe that there's a lot of people out there that have a mindset, Patty, that they're so unconscious with it that they don't even realize the mindset that they've created for themselves, and they've really mentally created a box. And so when I have a number of acquaintances like this, and when I try to explain to them my thought process, I might as well be speaking Chinese to them, because they just don't understand it. I love them to death. They're great acquaintances, but I'm not going to surround myself with those people when I'm building a vision or building a business or building a lifestyle that I want to create for myself. And so that's a long answer to a short question. Hopefully an answer.
No, it's brilliant. And then I guess to that point, what are the attributes or the mindset qualities that you are very fixed on, and to, I guess, accelerate your dream or your goal getting?
Yeah, so there's several of them, but I'll touch on a couple. One is, I call it CANI mode, which is CANI, and it stands for constant and never-ending improvement. There's a guy in Franklin, Tennessee by the name of Robert D. Smith, who's the business manager for Andy Andrews, who's a professional speaker. He's on the circuit. He's written 3 New York Times bestsellers. And I've spent some time with Robert, and he's coached me behind the scenes on the business and things I need to do. And he introduced me to this CANI mode, which is how do we constantly and never-ending improve. So in my business, when I talk about it, Patty, it's always how do we CANI this? Like, how do we CANI our internal processes? How do we CANI our marketing? How do we CANI our image? How do we CANI the things that when we work with our clients? So there's a CANI mode of somebody has to have a mindset of how do we're happy. People sometimes miscue that and say, well, you're never happy with where you're at. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. I'm just saying to find ways to make it even better, make a better lifestyle. How do I CANI my marriage? How do I CANI me being a father? How do I CANI my family? So we look at that. So CANI mode's one of them. The second mindset is, I think so many people they set self-limitations on themselves that they have to be always asking themselves the question, what's possible? And I think a lot of times people always say, well, it's like let's learn Spanish. Well, I can't learn Spanish. I'm 38 years old. Or I'll never learn Spanish. Or I'll never learn how to play the piano. Or I'll never learn how to play the guitar. It's always those I'll nevers and I can't. And a lot of people unconsciously just build up that mindset in their between their ears that they'll never be able to step out of it. So you have to begin to disrupt the thought process, and you have to begin from a question of what's possible. Is it possible? And of course, you can hardly answer no to that question. Almost anything's possible. I mean, it's been created, it's been done. Look at what's happening in the world today. We've got people that are looking to mine asteroids. The technology is crazy. So anything can be possible, but it starts right here, and it starts between the ears, and you have to believe it. And there's 4 questions that you have to answer yes to, in my humble opinion, that will get you in the right mindset. The first question is, do I need to? The second question is, do I want to? Because sometimes we know we need to, we just don't want to. The third question you have to answer yes to is, can I? You have to really believe that you can. And then the fourth question you have to answer yes to is, will I? Will I actually go out and make a difference? And it doesn't have to be change the world. It might be, buy back 2 hours of time on a weekly basis to spend with your family, or spend with yourself, or spend reading a book, or whatever it is you want to do. That's where it all starts, in my opinion.
Awesome.
That is awesome. Now, Chad, you've done a lot of incredible things with your career in the short span that you've had. What would you say are some of those habits that you have that have catapulted you to the success that you have had?
Well, I think it goes back to a book that I wrote, which is PEP. You have to prepare in anything that you do. And in my there it is right there.
Oh, he's looking for brownie points, Chad.
In my book, one of the things that I say, since we're talking about this boss-free society and having a boss-free mentality, anybody who wants to get out of whatever lifestyle that they're in, if they want to move to the boss-free society, and again, I don't necessarily say that my definition of success is going to motivate anybody to do anything. They have to find their own definition, but I also believe that a lot of people live a life of what I call quiet desperation. That's where they're always wishing that they would be doing something else. They would have something else. They would have more time, more money, more freedom, more choices, if you will, to do what they want to do in life. So if somebody is in a boss, what's the opposite of boss free? I guess a boss world, right? Let's call it that.
Corporate slave.
Corporate job.
Well, I think it was Jim Rohn that said wage slave.
Wage slave. Okay, and that's another thing too, is that even if you're a solopreneur, and even if you have not really created a business, but you've created a job for yourself, right? You've created, and you've been rewarded by the direct proportion of the fruits of your own labor. You're still creating and some people say, well, they're still trading time for dollars, which is true. As a solopreneur, you put time in, you get dollars back. But I think it's you've created that versus somebody else, versus you relying on somebody else.
Right,
so
right.
my whole point becomes is that, I did that for many years. I created my own path. I created my own sort of destiny, and then I just built a platform where I could now not just leverage my time, but leverage other people's time to create money and build a platform where it would be successful for them too. But going back to the question is the preparation. I think that you have to, if you go from the corporate world into a boss-free world, you have to build a bridge, and you have to have a plan, and you have to prepare, and you have to realize what's going to happen next, and have an A, B, C, D, and E, and really implement that plan to go from where you are today to where it is you want to go, and just ensure that you build in some flexibility. You understand that you might hit some roadblocks, and you might make some mid-course adjustments, but there has to be a preparation mindset to really take the time to prepare, and most of us don't. Most people just live life, and they look back and they say, gosh, what happened? So you have to prepare. The E in that thing is execute. Most people, theory is an amazing thing, and I'm done debating theory. You want to start your own business, you want to save money, you want to lose weight, you want to, whatever it is you want to do, I'm okay with whatever theory you want, because there's millions of theories out there, but nothing will happen unless you execute and take action and take the first step. And so the E stands for execution. We have to do things every single day. I always say moving forward, whether it's an inch or a mile, as long as we're moving in the right direction. Some days we might go backwards, but we always have to, listen, some days I only move an inch, but at least we're moving forward. Some days we move miles. We've had a pretty big successful, we won a project with Wells Fargo today, which was a huge win for us, and so we moved miles today, and it was a very good thing. Some days, you wake up, but you're always doing something every single day to take you from where you are to where it is you want to be. So you wake up every single day, you ask yourself the question, is that what can I do today that will take me from where I am to where it is I want to be, and then you take those steps. So that's the execution. The second P is persistence. You have to persist in this world. We all run into roadblocks. We all run into challenges. There's a lot of people that we look at and say, gosh, they're so successful. I wish I could be like them. And most of us wouldn't trudge through the mud that they did. We wouldn't go through the years and the rejection and all the stuff that they went through to get to where they're at. It's easy to see the limelight, but it's hard to see what happened behind the curtain. So you have to continuously persist. And when the vision is strong enough, when your mindset is strong enough, when you know what it is you want to accomplish, it's a lot easier to get up every single day and persist through those things that happen in life, that they happen to all of us. And then the last P is patience. We have to have patience in our life. We have to understand that things might not happen when we want them to happen. we got a good friend, Adam Carroll, who always says that if you start a business, it's going to take 3 times as long and 3 times the money as you thought it would to really get up and running. And that's a very generic statement, but it does take time. It takes patience. So the mindset, Timmy, is you have to prepare, you have to execute, you have to persist, and you have to be patient as you move forward. But again, if it's strong enough, if the vision is strong enough, if you know where it is you want to go, and you have that mental map, and you're not discouraged by it, and you keep your eyes on the prize, not the price, it's a lot easier to get there. Might take 5 years to get there, might take 10 years to get there, but time's gonna pass. We're all gonna be 5 years older and 10 years older here in a little bit, so we might as well create the path that we want.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's the really powerful thing that you just said. Time's going to pass anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, it's what we do at that time that we have right now. It's going to dictate where we are 5, 10 years down the road.
That's right.
So now, if someone's out there listening to us and they're like, they're maybe that wage earner, and they're like, well, I really have this great business idea, or I really have a thought that I could, be a solopreneur or an entrepreneur. What kind of advice would you give them so that they kind of, stop living in that life of quiet desperation and actually start living in action? Like, what are some things that you would say to them?
I think that it has a lot to do with the individual, but I think for anybody, it's easy to bite off small chunks, right? So if I were in their seat and I have this great idea, and my whole life I've sort of been molded into this, I've got to get a job and I got to make paycheck every 2 weeks and all this, but I have this idea and I think there's something else out there. I would do a couple things. One is I would carve out 10 minutes a day to do something on that idea. Write down your plan, write down your ideas, write down your thoughts, and just keep a journal. I keep a few different journals, but I have a journal that I write in every single day, and every day I take, and this is sort of off track, but every day I take 30 minutes a day on my mental side. I take 30 minutes. I take 10 minutes to read. I take 10 minutes to think or meditate or whatever it is, however it is you want to define that, and I take 10 minutes to write. So 10 minutes to read, 10 minutes to think, and then 10 minutes to write, and I just write down all my thoughts. And sometimes I don't know what I want to write, and sometimes I start writing. I have no idea what I want to write, and it's amazing when you put pen to paper or you start typing stuff. It's amazing how all these thoughts begin to come. So if you have an idea, I would begin to put that idea on paper. Maybe it's 10 minutes, maybe it's 15, maybe it's only 5 minutes. I don't know what it is, but if you take 5 minutes a day for 60 days, I mean, that's a lot of time that you've just put in to plan, to prepare, to think about your idea, and next thing you know, you have this little thing over here that's being created. You still have your life going on, but you have this thing over here being created that could now, from a possibility, could become an opportunity because you answered the question, is it possible? And you started working on it. So I always say, you've heard me say this too, if you want to write a book, a lot of people tell me, I want to write a book. Well, write 15 minutes a day, in 3 months you got a book, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's cool.
That's all that it is. I mean, it's just, all writing is putting thoughts on paper. So what's one thing I do. The second thing I would do, going back to what Patty talked about a little earlier, was I would find somebody who you could lean on. I would find somebody who would have your back. I would find just one person that would say you can do it. One person that says, I think it's a cool idea. One person that says, you never know. Maybe you can. And just that one person that would continue to push you, because everybody else is going to be telling you, you're crazy, you got a family, you shouldn't do it. I mean, it's amazing. And they don't mean wrong. They just don't know what they're telling you, what they're feeding you every single day, and how that's wearing on your psyche. So I think those two things would be a lot of steps you have to take, but those two things. Take 10 minutes a day, and even if it takes you 6 months, 6 months is going to pass by. You have a business plan, or you have a prototype, or you have an idea, or now that you've crystallized your thoughts, now you know who you might need to go to talk about it more. And then find just one person who will agree with you, one person who will help continue to push you, one person who might throw something out there who you never know that could have that influence on your life where you want to stop, will let you go one more day, which will lead to one more day, which again continues to build it down the path.
Absolutely.
Love it. So is there an instance in your very long career as an entrepreneur where you had like a really bad setback?
Oh, yeah.
I want to say a failure or whatever, because the reality is that all of those ideas are wonderful, but it's also the perfect scenario, right? These are the little steps I'm going to take, but what most people fear is the fear of failure. And I think it's always so helpful to hear when successful people have had those failures so that they understand.
Yeah, well, how much time do you have? Because I have to say a lot. And I'll just go very high level. I mean, I have probably started and closed down 20 businesses. I just dumped a
Wow.
boatload of money into an app. And Tim, you know about alligator fever. It was in existence for 2 years. I mean, we put money, we had partners, we did all this, and we just shut it down in March. March was it. We had to close the doors and shut it down. And it wasn't only money; it was our time, it was an idea, it was our investment, a lot of different resources. And I let some people down along the way. I mean, you know, you don't just let yourself down; you let some people down, like some business partners and some people who invested in it. And so there was a huge failure there. I started writing Pep, Patty, I think in 2001, and Pep didn't come out until 2009, 2010. So,
Wow.
and it's not that big of a book. I mean, it's not because it's not because it took that long to write it. It's just because there were so many. Again, and so it's that persistence, right? It's just sometimes the biggest battle you face is internally. It's that internal dialogue. It's that internal chatter, and you have to get back on track. So there's in all the great clients that we've worked with, there's been two clients, and I won't mention them publicly, but there's been two clients that we have just absolutely fell flat on our face with. Matter of fact, Tim, I was in Chicago with BJ and Johnny. And we were in the CEO's office of a Fortune 50 company just last week, and it
Wow.
could not have went. Patty, I've been selling this business for 12 years now, and it was almost like my first sales call. I mean, it felt like
Wow.
it was like we fell so flat on our face. We left there completely deflated. I mean, I have my setbacks every single day, but then the next day I was on another call with the global chief learning officer of another Fortune 100 company, and it went great. So you cannot let those failures, and that's one of the things you mentioned, the fear of failure and the fear of people. That's why a lot of people feel paralyzed. We all have them. I'm going to have them tomorrow. I'm going to have them next week. We all are on this hangout. Anybody who's listening, watching, and I think that the big difference is you can't let it impact you. You can't let it affect you. That's where people have that setback, then it impacts them, and they feel paralyzed. I'm just not smart enough. I fail, and you just get right. I mean, and I'm not intelligent. I'm just not smart enough to let it bug me. I just keep going because I have a strong vision. I know where I want to go. I know the lifestyle I want to create, and I know that if I just get knocked down and don't get back up, it's not going to continue to happen. So.
That's so good. I think that so it sounds like just keeping your eye on the prize, right? On the ultimate goal versus that incremental step toward the goal.
That's
It's just
right.
looking at the goal.
Yeah. I mean, if we're like I'm in Missouri, if I want to drive to San Diego, that's the ultimate goal. I'm going to have to stop and eat. I'm going to have to stop and use the restroom. I'm going to have to stop and get gas. I'm going to have to maybe change the oil. I might, there's a lot of things that are going to happen along the way. And if I look at all those setbacks and go, oh, God, I got to stop and go to the restroom. I better turn around. I mean, I'm never going to get there. But if you keep the goal on San Diego and that's where you're going, there's nothing that can stop you. It's the same thing with your dreams. It's the same thing with your goals. It's the same thing with your vision. You just have to continue.
So good, Chad. So good. Thank you.
I think too, like what you're saying, Chad, is just having that compelling future is really what all of us need to create, so that those little stumbling blocks, obstacles, that they don't get bigger and bigger. Because when you are looking at an obstacle, the longer you look at it, the bigger it gets. So, but if you're looking at San Diego, or to use your example, that's sunny ocean. You got a big compelling future. You're gonna be able to push through those obstacles. And
That's right.
I think that like what you're saying is being an entrepreneur, being someone who is boss free. It's all about getting through those obstacles and having a bigger vision for yourself and a bigger vision for your family.
That's right, and it's all about it. You're right. It's the end game, and again, everybody's end game is different. Why do you want to be boss free? That's the question you have to answer yourself. Why? What is it that you want? Is it more money? Is it more time? Is it a combination of? Is it choices? Whatever it might be, you have to stay fixed on that, because if you don't, you're going to go right back into that comfort zone. You're going to go right back into that, that corporate world. You're going to go right back into that hamster wheel, And you're going to look over your shoulder one day and say, what if? Even if you fail greatly, which we all have, at least you went out there and took that step. At least you jumped off the cliff, and so you'll never have that, you'll never die with that dream still inside of you, which I think is what we're all trying to do on the Boss Free.
Now, I guess a real quick question, not to go back, but you were talking about how you fell flat on your face in a meeting with a big client.
Yeah.
What did you learn from that? Like, what are some things that that are learning opportunities there?
Well, I learned that I didn't want to feel that way again. I mean, that was the first thing. And I just went back and I analyzed it, and I said, where did we go wrong? Where did the train go off the track? And so I think, but you have to immediately learn from it. It's like this. I want to live in the moment. I don't want to relive, because every time I relive, I go right back to the negative. When we relive our history, relive our past, we hardly go to the positive, unless it's really forethought. A lot of times we go back to the negative of things that happened in our life. And so I don't want to relive, and I don't want to pre-live. A lot of times we try to pre-live. And every time I pre-live, sometimes I think about, negative thoughts, and oh my gosh, what if this happens, and what if I'm not prepared, and what if this, and what if that. But I can relearn. I can learn from the past, right? And so I try to learn quickly on the mistakes that were made. I'm not going to relive it because it doesn't do anything, but I will learn from it. So when I'm on the call the next morning at 5 a.m. with one of it was a guy from the UK, the global chief learning officer of another big company. I wasn't reliving my failure from the day before. I learned from it, and I analyzed it, and I didn't do the same thing on that call, which it turned out completely different. And I don't want to pre-live, because we still have an opportunity with this guy. It's minimal, but I can pre-live and say it's not going to happen. He didn't like us. It was horrible. But I can prepare, because when I'm going to have one more shot coming up in July, and I can prepare to make it better, and either if he's not on our side, do whatever I can to get him, or if by whatever reason he likes us, make sure that I'm prepared to do that. So again, I think you have to learn from it, you have to analyze it, but you can't relive it, and you got to just move forward. You got to. I call it ripping off the rearview mirror, right? It's easy to look in the rearview mirror and look at that old life. You keep looking at the dream, you keep looking at the mirror. Eventually, you got to rip the rearview mirror off and just keep going forward. That's right.
Awesome. So, Chad, now we're kind of coming up on 30 minutes here, and I guess
Are you kidding already?
Yeah, it is. We're at right 8:30. Isn't this crazy?
Wow, it flew by.
That's what with Chad, things minutes turn into seconds. I tell you.
Yeah,
right?
it's so good, man. It's in the vibe. It's so cool.
Well, part of it is because he talks so darn fast. But
yeah.
But it's good stuff. It's captivating.
But the one thing I wanted to quickly bring here is, give 2-3 minutes for you to pitch Chad Carden. Whatever you want to talk about as far as what the Carden Group does, what you do, or how people can get in touch with you, or what books you've written. Kind of just be able to kind of be your little commercial here. Chad, take it away.
Yeah, listen, again, Patty, Tim, I appreciate the opportunity. I think that what you guys are doing is a great initiative, and I believe that there's millions of people that need this, that want this, that need a resource, because I think a lot of people live in that mindset. There's something up there, but they just, for whatever reason, they're stuck in their ways. And again, a lot of times it's created right there. So I don't have a lot. Listen, the Carden Group, we do a lot of, we work with a lot of large organizations. We're a very small consulting company, but we do a lot of work with a lot of large organizations on really the internal branding and the internal DNA of an organization. If you look at large companies, they spend billions of dollars on marketing externally to their customers, to the marketplace, to gain more share in the market. But a lot of times they don't spend 1/10 of that time branding internally and marketing internally to their employees. That's why 71% of people go to work every single day either disengaged or actively disengaged in what they do, because nobody gives them the time of day. They don't really understand their value, how what they do matters, and how what they do makes an impact, and it's just a job for them. So we go in and we help large organizations create a culture where if people are going to stay in that world, at least they're excited about it, and at least they understand how what they do matters and how it makes a difference. And that goes with creating internal branding, internal marketing, training and development, keynote speeches, whatever it is. But we believe that organizations improve when people improve, and we believe that people improve when leaders improve. So, companies like AT&T, I mentioned Wells Fargo. We just landed a big deal with them. J.P. Morgan. I was in New York last week with UBS, Weight Watchers, Farmers Insurance, New York Life. A lot of big companies that we work with. Again, because there are so many robots, and it's good for our business. There's a lot of people. I hope it gets more screwed up every day. But so it's just it's an exciting world that we live in, and our whole goal is that, and Patty, if they're not going to become boss free, which obviously that would be the first goal, but if they're not, our goal is to help people find their passion and find excitement in what they do on a daily basis because they understand and know what they do matters. And our argument is everybody matters. Everybody in an organization matters. If you're a maintenance person, I take for granted when I walk in buildings that the lights are on, that the elevators work, that the heat's on when it should be, that the air conditioning's on when it should be. And if they're not doing that, it's a bad experience. If you just clean bathrooms, I expect clean restrooms. So again, if you're just changing light bulbs, I'm good, because if the light bulbs aren't on, it's not a good experience for me. So again, it's just everybody matters in an organization, and we help people do that through, again, training, development, but training is just a piece of it. It's more of an internal DNA, and we want to build cultures of excellence. You can find us at chadcarden.com. We got a lot of people out there that are working a lot of accounts right now, a lot of organizations, and we're having a blast doing it. So
that's great.
I
have a last question though. What are you reading?
What am I reading?
Yeah.
Hold on, really quick. I'll show you.
We like to get the visual. This is a hangout, so we can get visual. We can have actual, tangible visual aids, which is good.
And we're readers, so we want to see what you.
Yeah, readers are leaders. Leaders are readers.
Okay, so I have a library, and Timmy's seen it. I have a library of a bunch of stuff, but I'm reading Gladwell right now, David and Goliath.
Yep.
I'm reading The Power of Habit.
Ooh.
Okay. I'm reading Culture of High Performance.
Culture of High Performance. Okay.
Yeah. And this by Quint Studer. This guy's actually a competitor of ours in hospitals, but I'm trying to figure out his sauce. I'm trying to figure out his formula. I'm reading The 5 Temptations of a CEO by Patrick Lencioni.
Okay.
And by the way, he's got a company called the Table Group. It's a consulting group. We just beat him out on a contract, and
nice.
I love Patrick, but it's a big feat. What happy companies know, which is great. And then I read a lot of books at once, Patty. So please forgive me. And then if Aristotle ran General Motors, which is a great book too.
Wow.
By Tom Morris. So. And Tim, he's seen my library, and Adam always says that houses are built around libraries, not vice versa. And I have a huge library, and again, I try to read 2 to 3 books a month. The average college graduate reads 0.9 books a year, so I figure if I can read 1 a month, I'm 12 steps ahead of them. But I try to read 2 or 3 a month, and just try to gain all the knowledge and all the wisdom. And again, also try to learn from my competitors. That's another thing. If you have an idea, and this is and I know we're running over, but if you have an idea and it's already in the marketplace, great. It means there's a market for it, right? Somebody's always going to do it better. And so find out what your competitors are doing. Find out what's working out there, and go work it. Find a better way to do it. There's always a niche market out there. So that would be my last words. Patty, I hope I didn't. Hope it was what you expected.
No, this is so good. Thank you so much. It's just so it's inspirational, but also to see the direction of success and the longevity that you've had is really impressive. And
he's so young. 38 years old to be in that status is great.
So how do you see your organization developing? Are you going to stay in the consulting realm, or do you have other things on the horizon beyond what you're doing?
Well, that's interesting. I'm always canine. I'm always constantly improving. I'm always looking at different things. And this isn't public yet. I guess it will be after this. But the consulting, and Timmy, a little bit. There's a consulting company in New York City that is looking to buy us and looking to fold us into their organization, where there would be a buyout and some ownership, and where we would grow a little bit, and the team would come with me. And so there's a lot of options right now, but our mission is not necessarily to become the best, or the biggest. It is to become the best. And so whatever we have to do our mission the best we know how to do it, that's the goal on the business side. On the family side, Patty, I have a 5-year-old and a 4-month-old now, and a beautiful wife, and so my mission is just continue to spend more time with them and watch them grow and help them develop and create more future boss-free little boys.
Yeah. Yay! Good for that.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Well,
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
Really appreciate your time here tonight, Chad, and thank you for educating us and inspiring us and leading us.
Yeah, and imparting the words of wisdom, because I'm going to use your acronym, by the way.
Keep using it. Keep spreading it.
Can I? That's brilliant. Yeah, I love it. I will be using that one.
All right. Thanks, Patty.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.